Okay, so welcome back. What we've got here now is another topic that we haven't quite gone into, and that is putting like your surface area, your topographical surface for your building. Yes, you can actually make your land happen outside of the building now. So what we've got in our building, if we take a look at here, this should all be underground, and we don't have ground, so it's definitely not underground. So what we're going to do is actually on your project browser menu, you've got sort of around this area, probably if you've been building it along with me, should be right underneath level 6 should be site. So I've got mine opened up, so I'll just click on it up here at the top, just underneath the ribbon. And site will give you the ability. This is a new sort of floor plan, shall we say, that has the ability to establish your topographical map type features in there, so you can plan out what you're doing with your building. And what we're going to do is that we can actually, there's a bit here that says property line. So we can actually establish a property line. If we knew our property line, that would be a great thing, of course, but this is a fictitious building. We haven't really quite got one. And it says that we have the option when we click on that to create by entering the distances and bearings. We don't have any of that information. This is not a real building, so we're just going to sketch it. It says create by sketch. So that gives us the ability up here. We have in our ribbon lines and squares and all kinds of the usual shapes that we can use to create this with. And I'm just going to start off with maybe a line up here. Maybe it comes down this way, down into here, and maybe it goes out this far. I don't know. And then from that, escape out of there, change commands into an arc, maybe put an arc in here from there to there, bend it in for maybe a curved road or such, like who knows, a cul-de-sac, or there's lots of things that could be happening. And we'll press OK. We've got that. That's our property line. So if we're looking at this, we know that that's in fact the line for, where we're responsible for our build anyways, at that point. The next thing we can do is actually kind of a little more interesting. This is pretty basic. Like if you're just drawing your what we have here, this would be easy enough to draw in any CAD program. Should be able to draw you a square with lines through it and some more lines around the outside. Not really super exciting, but it does give you a little bit of a barrier to work with, a boundary to work with. But the next part is kind of cool. There's not very many programs that will do this, and it's topographical surface. Or if they do it, they won't do it properly, generally speaking. We have options here. You can actually import some CAD information that might have been put in, from a previous drawing of it. You can actually import a lot of stuff through if you had a document that had been done up, there's a way that you can have it imported with the information can be imported from through Excel for many of the programs that Autodesk makes. They link up very nicely with the other programs like that. Excel is one of the ones that they really like to use because you can change a lot of things in there and it gives you a lot of variables. We don't have any of that information right now for this surface. Anything would make any sense. So we'll just place points. That's another way we can do it. And if you had your your elevations to work with, you could easily do that on here as well by putting the proper elevations. This is up here in elevation. That's going to give you the idea of that you could put in if you had a building that was starting 1,000 feet off of sea level, then you would put that in there. Your surveyors, if they're any good at all, will be able to tell you all of that information. And you'd be able to put all that in there. Of course, if you're getting into engineering a building, if you're going to be building a building in most municipalities, you will have to know all of that information before you start building. But for the factor that we don't have that information this time, because it's not a real building and not in a real area, we'll just go with, we know that we have our main building level here is set at 0, 0. So what we can do, because we know that we've got people for this that will have made our property nice and level for that that particular building. We've got graders, we've got people that have made that possible. We'll maybe put that all the way out to the road this way. 0, 0 looks pretty good. There's going to be all kinds of variances. It wouldn't be very much of anything. It certainly wouldn't be hard to imagine that there would be maybe a 1 foot raise in that you really wouldn't even hardly notice a 1 foot raise in elevation. If you're just looking at it, it would be very hard to tell for such a long distance. We might have a little bit more drastic. One will maybe do 6 feet of elevation, maybe into the back here, just to give you a little bit more. And you can see now we've got the contour lines showing up in our topographical drawing here for our surface. 6 feet, maybe we'll switch it down. Maybe you might need to use some negative numbers in that particular bit. Maybe we'll do -1 foot down in here. Maybe it slopes down a little bit downhill, and who knows, maybe that goes -9 feet by the time it suddenly drops off down to the end here. I don't know. Fake building, as I said, not really anything too crazy going on. We'll put a maybe we'll put a 15-foot jump up to this side, and you can see the contour lines are definitely getting a little bit tighter into the top here, showing our quicker elevation changes, right? So anyways, we've got all that in there, and we're okay with it. That's what we have. We'll press OK on that, and that created a surface. And we'll go back into our 3D mode. We can actually see that our piece of property is now, surrounding the building. It kind of is just a surface thing, though. We're not really creating very much of it, as you can see the underneath of the building, But whatever, gives us the idea, gives us the look. If we were actually building the building, this is what it will look like at this point. However, if we take a look at one of the section views that we may have opened up, but we can put one in if we didn't have one, and I've got one here. But if you want to put a section view in, we can open that up, and I'll show you that actually has filled the basement or the foundation level with mud. That is no good. We definitely do not want it to be filled with mud. So what we need to do is go back to our site plan here again, and we'll go into here, and we have the ability to have a building pad. That's the next thing that we can do. So with that, we know that our level that we've built our foundation is actually 10 feet distance between the ceiling and the slab. We'll maybe put it as an 11-foot pad offset, and that's actually going down 11 feet, so we'll do a negative for that. We can actually do pick walls, so if we pick the walls and we glide our mouse just over top of where the walls will have been, we're actually able to pick up on the walls that are in the building, and we'll base it off of that. If this other extent of the gray line, that's showing us the top of the building, right? So that's our roof line. We don't want to be basing it off the roof line. We'll have quite the jump between where we're actually trying to be and where our building is. Like there would be, I believe I put a 3-foot offset on the roof line, so we certainly don't want to have that. I'll have to try and get this thing to pick up the wall lines again. We could also draw them in if we get frustrated with trying to do this, which is getting pretty close to where we're at now for me. We'll switch that back into there. Maybe it's, yeah, we know that it's on this grid line actually, so that's fine. I'll just draw that in. It'll be a lot quicker than sitting there. That is how it works, though. It finds that particular command will find, generally it will anyways, will find the walls and put it down to the wall. We'll put that one there. We'll press go. Should be good to go. We'll take a look at our 3D mode. And it shouldn't have really changed very much on the 3D mode. But as I said, if you had set that to the outside of the roof, it would throw it 3 feet out from where the outside of the building is, and that would put a fairly intense gap, well, a 3-foot jump essentially between, which might be fine. Maybe you want that as a look, but generally speaking, probably you don't. But if you're doing that, right now it's right tight against the building, and that's kind of where we want it. We're going to look into our site level again, and what we can do is check out our section view, and that should show us that it actually has taken all the dirt out of the building and has depressed it down just below the slab. Which is exactly what we want it to do. So our dirt actually right now, there's our slab level, and it's put it underneath all of that. That's great. I mean, it's just a look. They'll know they have to dig it out to make a basement. It's a pretty obvious thing, you'd think, hopefully anyways. By the time you're building a building like this, they should know that that's what has to happen before you have a basement. You're going to have to dig a hole for it. But on the drawing, it makes more sense this way. We certainly don't want it to look like it's filled with mud. If we look inside our section views, would be no good. So it's more for us, generally speaking, that we do that, so you have a clearer image of what's going on there. And actually, to show you this section view, if you wanted to see it all the way up, you can just open that up, drag the wall of the frame of the section view up, and we've got our entire building from that section view. Whatever it was that we wanted to end up looking at. So there's that. We've got now we've got land around it. That's great. Maybe we'll take a look into something expanding on the land a little bit, but we'll save that for another video. 1 second here, and to the next video.